Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are going to talk about property management and how to operate a property, because this is one thing that I stress is that when people are just starting out, they don't really have an idea of the flow of maintenance issues or communicating with the tenant efficiently, and that's where they lose the operational efficiency. So the best thing you can do, and it kind of goes against the gurus out there about, hey, you can go buy a property and not even think about it, have a property manager manage the property, which is okay. But if you want to scale and grow within real estate, you definitely want to manage your own property for at least the first year, first 2 years. This way you can get an idea of what things cost to repair, how fast maintenance issues should be taken care of, the severity of the maintenance issues, and how to respond to them. But I totally understand if you're buying outside of where you're located, which is one thing I don't really agree with when you're just starting out. Maybe when you're scaling, go for it. But yeah, so we're gonna break down what the property management side looks like. Before I jump into this video, I wanna point out that in my bio, you'll see another link for a school community. So I'm building this school community because I wish I had this opportunity to talk to a 23-year-old that's just starting off in real estate and scaling when I was 21, 22 years old. Because I would, brain dump all of my interests and strategy to him and then kind of get his feedback. So this is kind of what I'm setting up for you guys. So in this school community, you'll have the ability to talk to me one-on-one. Also, there's a link in the description to book those calls with me, but eventually we're just gonna transition into the school community. There's also going to be all my Excel files on underwriting. There's going to be courses and weekly calls that will allow you to communicate with other members of the group, and also for you to review your maybe first investment, your strategy, or if you're buying commercial properties and ready to scale. We'll have all those calls within the community. So if you're interested, go ahead and click that link. And if you guys do get value out of this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out and it helps you out as well. So getting into it, we started the property management company about 8 months ago. So last July is kind of when we went all in. And we started this because we wanted to be vertically integrated. So we wanted to own the portfolio, the real estate, the assets, and then also manage it ourselves, and then eventually start doing the development too. So, from basically the ground up, we will have that all incorporated into our business. Yeah, so from the marketing standpoint, right now we just use, Facebook ads or meta ads, and then word of mouth. So Facebook ads have not been doing too well. So we started running these right when we began last July, and we put a lot of money towards that. And unfortunately, we've only gotten 2 or 3 clients, and the clients have maybe 2 units, or I think one had 4 units. So not too great. Word of mouth has been doing amazing. This has achieved 90% of our total management units. So that's great. Usually it's just talking to real estate agents and then going to like monthly real estate meetups. So I know probably not too interesting from your point of view, but it will get more interesting because I'll talk more about the operations. But for people who are trying to scale and start a property management company, then I would focus on the word of mouth and talking to agents, and then other investors, of course. That's a good one, other investors in your area. All right, so software, what do we use? And I would highly recommend this for people that are managing maybe 4 units or more, and specifically, even if it's your own portfolio. You could go ahead and do the Excel spreadsheet, but if you're looking to scale and you have 4 or more units, definitely get into software. So the software would be, we use DoorLoop, but you can use RentReady, Appfolio, Buildium, and it all depends on how much you are planning to scale in the future and how much you want to spend. So like I said, we use DoorLoop. We've been very pleased with it so far, but there's many other softwares you can get. The nice thing about the software is that the tenants can pay rent through there. So of course you can get a Venmo and everything else, but inside of the software, you'll be able to have the tenants do a bank deposit or a credit card payment, and they're able to set up a reoccurring rent payment, which is awesome because then that eliminates the need for them to go in and pay rent. So they can just say on the first of the month, I want $500 to be deducted from my account, and it goes directly into your account. The only downside of the software we've seen is that when the transactions do take place, there's a little bit of a lag. So the transaction takes a little bit to settle in your account, and then if you pay it out to yourself or investors, or not investors, but yourself or your clients, the property owners, then it will take some time to make that adjustment. So right now, I should have prefaced with this, but we manage 75 units and that's not including our units. So we only have 6, so that brings 81 units. So right now we collect all of the rent through DoorLoop, and we also, of course, collect Venmo, cash, checks, all of that, and then we make sure it's updated in DoorLoop because that's where we track everything. So, like I said, rent's going to DoorLoop, maintenance requests, anything we spend on the maintenance requests, those go through DoorLoop as well. So if we have Home Depot receipts or we're hiring other outside contractors, that is in DoorLoop. This way, when the landlord or the owner logs on to their account, they can see all the expenses and the tenants that paid rent, the tenants that are behind, and all of that great stuff that would be very hard for you to do if you're on an Excel sheet. Also, like if you're just starting out, you want to get these operations down as soon as possible, because if you have 20 units and then you transfer over, it's like, oh, you got to talk to this tenant and say, hey, we're upgrading our systems. You got to talk to this one. And they're like, well, why are we doing this? So it's a lot easier to start with a software from the beginning and get used, or have your tenants get used to that and accustomed to paying on their placing, maintenance requests. You can do the lease renewals. You can have leases signed, through or online through like Authentisign or DocuSign. So that's actually probably one of the best things is you can just send leases out and have them signed automatically. You don't have to send a PDF and like, oh, how do I sign this? So very easy. It's definitely streamlines the operations, and highly recommend it if you're just starting out. Operations, so like I said, we do manage 75 units. So we collect the rents for all of those. That comes in, you're not going to get everyone on the 1st or the 5th of the month. So that comes in throughout the month. We do our distributions within the first week and a half. And we have some great tenants that pay early, so those settle. And then we have some other tenants that pay, on the 5th of the month. So that way, we give it like a grace period of 3 to 5 days for it to settle. And then we can send it out after that. So that's why we usually the payments between the 10th and the 12th of the month. So sometimes if, we manage a 4 unit and all the payments come in on the 1st, we can get that out within the 5th of the month. But, for example, there's a few owners that we manage 50 of their units. So we have to wait for all of that to come in and then settle and then pay it out, because those distributions are hefty and we don't want to overdraft our account. But how do the actual operations look like? So when we're managing the property, so we get a maintenance request through DoorLoop or through via text. That's one thing that we probably have to get away from, is we do give our personal numbers out a lot, which is really nice because we can respond very quickly and it provides better communication between the tenants and ourselves. So we can give them peace of mind a lot sooner than going on the software or missing something on the software. But yeah, personal text, once we start scaling, maybe 150, 200 units, definitely is going to get a little crazy. So right now, if a text comes in saying that, the door doesn't latch, or, I dropped my key or lost my keys and I can't get in the unit, that's going to be pretty, up high on the, response list. Anything that's, there's a leaking faucet, mold growing in the bathroom, any of that good stuff, which is going to be pretty high on the list. We're going to get to, well, first of all, we're going to respond within 30 minutes and kind of from there pick a time that's convenient for the tenant and ourselves to meet there and take care of the problem. So I would say on average, we're within 24 hours to 48 hours, response time of any of those high priority maintenance calls. And then everything else that's less of a priority, we're within 2 days to upwards of maybe 5 or 6. Sometimes tenants just ask for, a small thing to be done, like maybe updated lighting because the old one is just, incandescent, it doesn't look good. So, we could replace the fixture, but of course that's not a high priority. And then we also have to do ask the landlord. Other people ask, can we replace the carpets? Not a really high priority, but once we get approved by the landlord, then we will be able to go ahead and do that work. Another thing I want to mention is that, so it's my brother and I my brother does most of the response work right now. I probably do about 20% of it, and that, maybe 15, but, it doesn't really matter at this point. My point is that the work's split up between myself, my brother, and then our part-time employee. So at 75 units, the one point that everyone emphasizes when you're managing properties is that one property manager can operate about 100 units. So we have 3, but they're kind of all part-time. And 3 would be myself, my brother, and then our part-time employee. And we're doing 75 units. But the whole idea is once we get to 100 units, then we can bring this part-time employee on full-time, and he can take care of that 100 units himself. So that's where the goal is. Overall for 2026, the objective is to get to 150 units. So we're about halfway there. Closing on this 20 unit would get us there, and then we have a few others in the pipeline through word of mouth marketing that hopefully we close on, and we can get to that 150 unit goal by the end of 2026. So that's pretty much it. We do contract out a few things. So anything that requires a license for electrical, plumbing, HVAC, we will contract that out because we do not have those techs in-house at the moment. Eventually we will, but you have to pick and choose, the battles you want to face when you're doing property management, especially if you're doing your own properties too. So if there's any big overhauls, that you don't feel comfortable with, definitely want to get a contractor involved because it's your reputation on the line as a property manager. So, we've been doing this for a while. We've renovated 6 of our units, and we've renovated a bunch of, other units from investors that we know. So we have a lot of experience, and we're comfortable performing these maintenance requests and the upkeep. All right, and then just to kind of put some numbers on it too. So of the 75 units, we charge roughly $90 per unit. It all depends on what you give us. So if it's, a double, it's going to be a little more expensive. If it's 20 units, we'll be able to, cut down on the per unit price because you're giving us a bulk, economies of scale type of management. So you can do the math there. You can see what we're making per month. But the big thing is this is adding to the overall enterprise value of our companies because we are able to manage our own properties, so save money there, make money on other people's properties, and we know the quality of work that we're doing and the people that we're hiring that they're doing. So it's not too big right now, but it is in the motions of becoming a flywheel, that's spinning off a good cash flow. And, not only it's the cash flow part of it that's helping the other business, but also the maintenance and the quality of work that's a big part of it. So that's all I have for you guys today. Kind of just breaking down again the property management side of our operations. So if you are interested in the property management, analyzing deals, or just starting off and you need some strategy behind how to go ahead and purchase a property, you want to book a call with me, it's in the bio and it's going to be in this description. And again, if you guys got value out of this video, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.